Okay, the Dublin Marathon, the whole, first of all, just explain what we're actually trying to achieve with the He Ain't Heavy running the Dublin City Marathon. It's really about just social inclusion. For me to do it was basically just to give my brother an outlet to make his world a little bit bigger than it was. The long-term plan is to bring him to every major capital and do the same thing once a year, run a marathon once a year, whether it's in London, Rotterdam, flat as a pancake, have that one planned. London's supposed to be kind of down the same lines and stuff, so that's the plan. To do things with my brother that I would have done and see parts of the world that he would never see, and to hopefully widen or make his world a little bit bigger than it is. And the kickback off that then is that he gets to have different experiences, like going on planes and seeing different countries, different cultures and stuff like that, like all the things he would have done if he was, intellectually, able-bodied like the rest of us and stuff. So none other than Emma Finucane sitting in studio today. And basically the whole thing, like when I was actually looking at your profile, what I was really interested about was the whole visual art. I'd never actually understood what visual art was. I'd never heard of what visual art actually was. So can you explain what visual art is?
God, so that's like the question, what is art?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose you just seeing there, what I would call myself a visual artist, but when it comes to making artwork, I guess all that means is that I use the visuals. So to me, image is important. To me, trying to communicate through an image is important. Trying to tell a feeling or a sense of something. It's like an emotive thing. But my work would be, like the work that I make would, first of all, it comes through a participatory process. Like it's through dialogue, through talking to someone, through learning about something, and then I suppose translating that into an image that I hope then is easily people can relate to when they look at it. Whether be it image or video or whatever it is.
What exactly is, excuse me, what exactly is, what disability has Laura?
So when she was 2, she had meningitis and septicemia, which left her with brain damage. But also there's a lot of things, a lot of health complications that can come from having that sort of an illness. So she's had scoliosis, she's a bar from the top of her neck to the base of her spine, metal bar, and she's so she can walk, but she would be a little unsteady on her feet. And we've been told she has frontal lobal epilepsy as a result as well. And we've just basically, the words were extreme, like severe brain damage. Yet she, to me, I feel like I've always read her through her eyes. When we were kids growing up, and I feel like I
can so relate to that. Yeah.
So to me, when I'm with her, it's not like I'm with someone who's so brain damaged they can't understand anything. She very much understands stuff, as far as I'm concerned, and understands it to when she wants to understand it. Like if she wants a cup of tea, she'll hand me the mug. That kind of thing. That's a character, and I'd say it's resilience she's built up, being told what to do all her life and being kind of shuftied around.
Well, basically you do that through health services and various other.
So I have worked at, so my art practice.
Was that something you fell into, or was it something you'd always intended to work in, like that area of work, or?
I'd say I probably intentionally placed myself in it because of my sister.
Okay.
Because Laura was attending the likes of day resource centres, and I didn't know what that really meant, and I didn't know what it was like to be in one of them. So coming out of college with a degree in fine art didn't leave you open to many, jobs as such. So I ended up being, I got a CE scheme as an arts facilitator in a day resource centre in the Irish Wheelchair Association, because I knew that this day resource centre was similar to what she might attend. So So in a lot of ways, it was a way to use my skills. My work has always been about has always been inspired by Laura anyway, about how she communicates and how she negotiates her way around the world, about that just hoping that just wanting to know, is she okay? So a lot of my work is centered around that. So to place myself in this day resource centre was very intentional, I suppose, because I wanted to see how these places got run.
You know, what brought you to, or first of all, who informed you about the whole He Ain't Heavy thing, and the second thing is, why would you feel the need to get involved with it?
I saw a post on Facebook, I think it was.
No kidding.
Yeah, I think that's
Facebook
how,
works, woo!
I think that's how I saw it, and I think it was, I can't remember if it was through Johnny or if it was
Johnny who?
Johnny Hayden.
The one and only.
The one and only Johnny Hayden. I can't remember if it was through him that I heard about it, or I saw it on an open forum that you might have put something up saying if anyone wants to get involved.
Right.
And when I saw it, I immediately thought I want to get involved, because to me, when I read about it, it looked like, to me, when I'm looking at your He Ain't Heavy, it's like it's a creative event. I know it's sports, but to me, it's using creativity to hopefully make social change. That's the way I would read it. So you're trying to include. It's about inclusivity, like inclusiveness. It's about looking at things in a different way. So you're being creative in the way you're looking at it. You're being creative in the way you're approaching it, and hopefully at the end of the project, there will be change.
A result.
There'll be a result. There'll be change. The way people look at Kieran. There'll be change at the way people look at people like Kieran being able to compete alongside others. There'll be change in
probably
the way
resentment when we smoked them in the races.
Yeah. There's change in the way siblings can interact with each other, though, as well. Some people will look at you and think, "Oh, I could do that."
Yeah.
It's
already happened. Yeah. It's already happened.
Like massive change. So I see you shifting, making a change in people's lives. So that's massive, and that's why I wanted to get involved, because my work, I'm interested in how you can change things in creative ways.
So you graduated.
Yeah.
You graduated with a master's, was it, in?
Yeah, fine arts.
Fine arts, okay. But that introduced you to an incredible character.
Dennis. Dennis Roach, yeah.
Dennis Roach.
And so in the masters,
the Open Window Project.
Yeah.
If you could tell us a little bit about that.
So I met Dennis on the MA program at NCAD, and his MA was the Open Window Project. Probably the only student that had a focused project, in his MA. The rest was real scattered around, kind of trying to figure out what we were doing. And this project was about, very much ticked a lot of boxes, crossovers between my own work, because the aim of this project, it was set in the Burkitt unit in James's Hospital, and it was for patients who'd be having stem cell transplants and could be in isolation for 6 weeks or more, wouldn't have many visitors. If they had kids, their kids couldn't go and see them unless they were over 14 and well,
Yeah.
They were very much alone, and in rooms that were white clinical spaces that might have a window, but that window could be looking out at a brick wall or a Lewis stop or something.
Sure.
And if you're coming from maybe a farm in Kerry, that's a huge
culture shock.
And psychological impact.
Yeah.
And you're not well, you're really sick. So Dennis was wondering if, I suppose what he was trying to, the point of this project was if
that project had been run somewhere else, am I right? It had been run in the States. It was run in the States originally, that project? The Open Window Project? I was doing a bit of research on it yesterday. I think it was either in Canada or the States. They'd actually run a similar project.
Okay.
Where they could actually, families could interact with very sick patients, people who are actually in wards, segregation wards or whatever for various
to relieve the isolation.
Yeah, to relieve the isolation, where they actually, family members could send photographs, or they could send whatever images or stuff that was happening in the house, or else they had a direct link into the house.
When was that? What year was that?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Because I know for this it was, I suppose, he was asking the question, could this be a clinically useful art project?
Yeah.
So could he by using art relieve someone's isolation, relieve that sense of isolation, I suppose, and try and help them feel more connected to the outside world while in this space. And in doing that, would that help the healing process? Would it improve it? Would it make you heal faster? Would it have an impact on that? So there was a clinical psychologist working alongside him.
There was a study done off the back of this one.
Yeah, she was doing her PhD of the Open Window Project. So she did all that, collected all that sort of information while he ran. He had 9 rooms in James's where there were projectors at the end, behind your head of the bed, and projector straight onto the wall in front of you. So it was a window, but you could turn it on or off. So if you didn't want to watch it, you didn't have to. It had 9 channels, and you could have different. One was a painting channel, so you could change the painting on your wall every day. There were other channels that were, it was curated by himself and a panel in the hospital to make sure the artworks that they put into the rooms, it all had to go, like, be approved by the Board of Ethics, etc., etc. And then there was a personal channel, and that's what I ended up working on the most. So at the end of our masters, the following year, this wasn't finished. He asked me would I come on board and work with him, and for me that was brilliant because I was interested, obviously, in ticking all the boxes for what I was looking at. Plus, if as an artist, it allowed me to work very much in a health setting, in a hospital setting, and see what that was like.
So, I just got a question.
Yeah.
We're staring at it looks like a lagging jacket
Yeah.
with a digital screen over the top of it with all bright lights in the middle.
Yeah.
So, what was that?
That was the piece, if I'm correct, I think that was in the MA show from NCAD.
I was fascinated when I seen that.
It's an inflatable office.
Inflatable office?
Yeah, so it's a space where you can go and talk and have meetings. So I think that's where he invited people in and talked to them and told them about the project happening then in James's.
And so what was that screen over the top? Was that just that was like sky? That was like rolling sky over the top of it?
Remember what the...
That's what it looks like. I mean,
to ask Dennis that.
Yeah,
that's his.
That's amazing.
his work,
yeah, it was amazing.
But he's trying. He's the open window could.
But what was the outcome? In terms of what?
In terms of getting
people's recovery rates, or
asked, yeah, it was done like on an anxiety depression scale, basically, to monitor when you went in. So people who didn't have it in their room answered the same questions as people who did have it, and the people who did have it, this is put very simply now, the people who did have it did seem to fare better.
Okay, in terms of recovery.
In terms of recovery and well-being.
Okay. Just gonna pause for a second and come back just after a short break. So I'm gonna ask you about a piece that you, another piece of your work, the creative well art, and so basically, again, I wouldn't have a great, an in-depth understanding of what you did behind the scenes there. What I do know is that you set up an art project for people who had, it was mental health issues, am I correct?
Yeah, well, it's for anyone really.
Anyone,
yeah.
okay.
Now, I suppose it's set up, it's Kildare Art Service. There's 2 artists working on it, myself and Dominic Thorpe. And then there's also a clinical nurse specialist, I think she is. Sorry, Catherine, I might have that wrong. And then there's the Kildare Art Service, Caroline Courtney, so she's partnership. So there's those two, and myself and Dominic. So what they do is they recruit, if you like. We've got 12 weeks courses, that's what the Creative Well are, and they're free. And it's 2 hours a week. And so yeah, some people are coming from mental health services, but then it's also advertised on the radio or in the newspaper or around. So some people just apply because they might be, like, say their young kids are finally in school and they just want to do something, or they've always loved art but have never never kind of had access to or time to do it. So they go through interviews, and we have about 12 to 14 people then for 12 weeks on the Creative Well Art class. But so the idea is socialisation as well, and inclusiveness, because everyone coming into that class, no one knows where anyone's come from.
Oh, okay.
Nobody does, so that's it. And Dominic and I generally it doesn't really matter where anyone's come from, they're just a group of people that we want to work with. And what we do is, it's a very different type of art class, if you like. because we try and we kind of tell everyone at the beginning, you're going to unlearn everything you've ever known about art. It's just about kind of, I suppose our intention is to try and allow people to, it's about kind of taking back your creativity. So
what do you mean taking back your creativity?
Well, I think a lot of the time people come in and they say, I can't draw, oh Jesus, I'm not creative at all, oh no, I wouldn't be able for that, or but that's total, bull. I think a lot of people learn that in school. They go into school and I'm no good at that because I can't, see this here, if I can't draw that and make it look like that, I'm no good at it. Stop, won't do that again.
Yeah.
That's not
sure
what being creative is. That's not the point. So what we try and do is basically we've changed the language. So paintbrushes, pencils, they're all tools in a toolbox, and we're going to show everyone how to use these tools, and then they do whatever they want with them.
Well, I'm just going to interject for a second because I actually remember something similar went. I know they set up something similar in Kieran School at one point, where they brought him into the kitchen, and they tried to get him involved in terms of like cooking in some shape, form, or fashion. And when I say cooking, they put flour on a table. And so things that Kieran was like is either banging things or making noise or doing stuff and all the rest of it. And flour was on the table. I don't know whether he was making bread or dough or something like that. Well, he was covered in baking flour, wherever the hell it was, from head to toe, or flour from head to toe. But he had an absolute ball because for him it's just a whole new thing, like. And so they
play.
Play. Yeah.
And that's the word we use as well a lot in this course. It's play. Play with the paint, play with the tool, And see that drawing there? That was a blind drawing. So we do a lot of blind drawing as well, because which means there may be a still life sitting in front of you, but you're not allowed to look at the page when you're drawing it, ever. So it takes the judge, because the minute you start looking at the page, you start judging what you're drawing, and if something happens, you start, trying to make it perfect. That's what cameras are for. This isn't about trying to make something look exactly the same. So some of the results, the blind drawings, are just incredible.
So you reckon we're influenced by social influences, like in terms of, or not social, but peer pressure in terms of what art is, or
of course, yeah. And then I suppose what Dominic and I would talk about a lot as well is it's allowing people to reconnect with their own creativity, and then hopefully use it as practice it in everyday life in lots of different things, like I'm seeing you do with your project. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not just about
going running down the street with Kieran. Yeah,
that, like, it's about allowing yourself to think up different creatively, and how useful that can be in everyday life.
Amazing. Just back to your education for a second, because you lecture in UCD. Is that correct?
What
do you lecture? What do you do?
What do I do? The last couple of years I've been teaching on the Arts and Health module, which is to do with NCAD and Trinity, which is artists and nurses, fine arts students and nurses. And in UCD I've just started a residency in the School of Nursing and Midwifery and Health Sciences, because it's another part of my work is I've always been very interested in the role of an artist in society, and I've always wanted to work as me, as what I do, as what I know I'm good at doing, and how do I fit in to the rest of the world economically as well as everything else in doing that. So this project in UCD, I've now got a bursary there for the year. So yesterday I gave a lecture to fourth year midwives on my art practice and about communication and listening and the importance of that, and then looking at some art that has been made surrounding maternity projects and that kind of thing. So that's where that relates. So the project I'm going to do now will be working with a researcher, a lecturer in UCD, and a woman in Hollis Street who runs the midwifery scheme there, Midwife Led Unit.
Very interesting.
So
yeah, I was wondering about that. Gonna take a little short break and then come back with a short video that you've shot of your sister. So what we're gonna basically do is we're gonna show a short video that Emma shot of her sister Laura, and how she perceives how Laura communicates with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was just
Or with the
kind of,
world in
well,
general.
it was just sort of, I suppose, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking a lot about how much am I, I feel like I'm communicating with her, but am I really? And I was just kind of questioning that. And I suppose making this sort of slapstick, this futile attempt to get into her world in this video, and sometimes it looks like we've connected, but we can't possibly because we're both in two different spaces. But if you play it, then maybe.
So what are you trying to explain?
So that was that whole idea of sometimes I feel that we're in the same world. You're sitting beside someone, but it was that idea of, but am I really in the same space? Are you really are you really connecting with me? So I've physically put us in two different worlds here. So she's a video projected onto a wall, and I'm trying to sit on that couch, but I can't because it's a wall. Do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of up against the wall there. So we're both in two very different spaces there, and it's just about my need to connect with her, I suppose.
So many similarities when I look at Laura and Kieran. Kieran plays with that green bottle, or he gets something that's visually, sensual to him, and he's just for hours on end. Fascinated with it.
It's as if she's realised I'm there. And then it's that idea of, is she trying to put her arm around me, or is it, so it's just questioning a lot about how much we are actually connecting or communicating. And I suppose as well, when I think about it, it's a little bit about, it's about that need for me to be able to connect with her. And sometimes I just, you feel you can't, and you're locked out or something.
Sure.
Do you know? But you desperately need to. And it's really just to make sure, is she okay? Can I ever get that answer out? Will I ever know?
It's amazing how family members are so tuned into their own either siblings or children, and even if it is very limited communication, it's amazing. Sometimes when I watch my mother with Kieran, she'd know he's sick before he's sick. He's not well, there's something wrong. It's intuitive sometimes with parents or with siblings.
So that's kind of what that piece was about. And what I found interesting, see, I find when I've made work as well, then I really learn back from it. So that video piece was shown up in Belfast, and when it's shown in a gallery setting, it's shown life size. So that's the idea, so that you feel as if the couch is there, or someone walks up to it. And feedback I've gotten from it has been interesting. In fact, someone from Mayo contacted me who worked in a similar sort of a day resource centre place where people like Laura would be going to it. And he asked me, could he use that video to show to a parent and sibling night, because what's often not talked about is how the parents or siblings relate to their family member who's in this place. Or maybe even to just start a conversation around that. To maybe try and come up with, I suppose, solutions to, so it's kind of, I thought that was interesting that it could possibly be useful. That's when I started thinking about artwork as useful.